All right. Hello, fellow summertime enthusiasts. This is Huge Movie Fanatic Nate coming to you from Lake Nate, somewhere in Minnesota, on a day that started sunny, which is turning more and more overcast as we speak or as we review. But whatever, as long as it's above freezing, I guess you can't complain. I'm here to review the second in what I'd call the trilogy, unofficial trilogy or trio of these big explosion of underwater action movies or whatever slash horror movies that came out within a year period in like 89 or 88 and 89, which is Leviathan. I'm just like Deep Stars. This came out, I think, in the theater in the summer of 89, which it was pre-internet, so it's like I didn't really know necessarily what the hell necessarily was going on outside the house. And I didn't watch like the biggest amount of TV. I was pretty much outside enjoying the weather, so I didn't know about Leviathan, I don't think. If I had, obviously it was the summer that I was into Deep Star 6. Obviously, if I had known about it, I would have like very kindly and politely asked my dad if we could please go, but I don't think I knew anything about it. I don't think I ever saw a trailer in 89. So I ended up seeing it just like all these other underwater movies after the fact on video, which is fine. Probably came out on video maybe. This is back in the day when it took longer for movies to come out, so it might have not even come out until like 1990 or something like that. But we saw it and was like, okay, cool, whatever. Underwater movie. It's got a pretty great cast. Obviously, I first was introduced to Peter Weller from RoboCop. Peter Weller, I mean, it's directed by the guy I think who made Rambo First Blood Part 2, so he's got Richard Crenna here, and he's just great. Obviously a guy I grew up with from Summer Rental and Rambo, obviously, and can't really think much else off the top of my head, but in few movies he can leave a big impression. Classic guy. And you got the adorable Amanda Pays, Ernie Hudson. The adorable only refers to Amanda Pays, not for me, Ernie Hudson. Some guy who's even still like in movies now or on TV or something like that. The guy who played the Cobb, Daniel Stern, a year before Home Alone. This woman I think the woman is pretty much the only person who really I don't think is really anything. The guy from Batteries Not Included, the Mexican guy. And is that everyone? I think that's pretty much everyone. So Leviathans is basically about, instead of them installing an underwater missile platform, they are basically mining for silver. And what's his name? Peter Weller plays this guy who's a geologist who this corporate mining company thought they're this bitch who's someone who would end up being in Blind Fury and Oblivion, like the full moon movie Oblivion, who's got these weird eyes. Put this geologist guy down there, thought, I don't know what, he could turn the mine around. But they're there to basically just mining, so it's a less like Cold War, less, it's a not so crappy of a movie in that aspect. Not that it completely ruins Deep Star 6, but simply, mining for silver isn't as bad as putting in a missile platform. So they're down there mining for silver, and obviously, you can tell that this one has got a bigger budget. Jerry Goldsmith comes not back, but he never really went away, but he comes on over to do a fantastic, like always, atmospheric and score that completely just makes half of the environment. I mean, it makes half of the, really enhances the environment, Now, unlike Deep Star 6, whereas I think that diving suit was pretty much something that existed. I'm pretty sure, don't quote me, but I would have to guess that the diving suits that everyone wears in this movie were specifically designed and created for the movie, which if it's true, will give you an idea about, the budget of this movie, which was obviously a bit bigger and basically, this is like exactly 10 years after Alien came out, and everyone really knows anything about Leviathan, is that it's alien underwater. And that's what it is. So much so that they're just doing their job or whatever, and then they come across the Leviathan ship, very much just like, which we don't know what happened to. It's a remake of Alien underwater. We don't know what happened to the Leviathan ship. Something's weird. What's going on? What happened to them ends up happening to, them on the miners on this underwater mining outfit. So it's a remake of Alien. It's Alien underwater. So much so even that you have Jerry Goldsmith, who brilliantly scored Alien, coming to do the score for the remake of Alien underwater. I guess my biggest problem with Leviathan is I guess the creature. For me, the movie starts really, really, really strong and has this very, very, very gradual de-evolvement where it's, as people die and stuff and people become assimilated or whatever by the creature and stuff, it just slowly just starts to get like, yeah, and so much so to the end where, for me, the gradual decline of the movies like this, and then when they hit the surface, it's like, it's just like, oh man, it's like they had this grand thing written, but they only had so much film left, or it was like the last day of shooting, and they had to just like take the puppet creature, throw an explosive in its mouth, and say, oh, motherfucker, and throw it in there, and it's just, bam, there it's gone. And the end, like the very end when they're on the surface, for me, is just like clutching at straws. But the strengths of this movie is, like I say, for the time, like top quality, basically visual effects. I will say that the beginning of like Daniel Stern getting assimilated and stuff and dying, the beginning of the stuff before the creature really gets like big and vicious and stuff is creepy. But once it starts getting big and vicious and stuff and like becoming a big threat and a monster, for me, that's when it's just like, yeah, whatever. And very much like, the Thing, the John Carpenter movie, The Thing, and of course then the reboot, or not the reboot, the prequel. This is one of those kind of creatures that has no rules kind of thing, which a fellow reviewer of mine, a guy who I've reviewed movies with, isn't so particularly keen about the monsters that can do anything. I don't have a problem with monsters that can do anything because it's just fantasy. I guess for me it makes it more creepy, because if it's something that just, you know what it can do or whatever, it's just like, yeah. So the fact that it can do anything and like they join and like all morph into each other, it's very much like, I guess it's kind of like the remake of Alien and John Carpenter's The Thing at the same time, underwater. So whatever. Movies are just basically the same shit over and over anyway. So I guess that'll basically do it for my review of Leviathan. I'll give Leviathan 3 stars. And the 3 stars is just for the phenomenal cast, phenomenal score. The production design is great. The overall atmosphere of the movie is really great. And it's just a classic, basically, from 1989. So thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you under the ocean. Not really, because neither of us are going to be under the ocean, but if we're watching this movie, oh, whatever. Catch you later.